Well, joining us tonight, prominent litigator, former federal prosecutor, independent counsel for the Whitewater investigation, Robert Ray. Robert, let's turn to, first of all, the majority leader has a sense of humor that's been submerged for some time now.
Right.
I love the idea that he could not perceive what the advantage would be in not sending over something he didn't want.
On the partisan impeachment front, it has turned for the surreal.
It is,
and the other half of it is that the country's in great hands and things are going really well. So it's like a dual screen.
It is, and in fact, as we pull back with that camera, what's revealed is a country right now in better shape than it has been in decades. Working men and women in this country, the beneficiaries of a president who is doing exactly what he said he would do, that is restore prosperity for all Americans.
Presidents are evaluated in the eyes of history about whether or not they did and accomplished what they said that they would do when they ran for office.
And this president's doing something for all of the future presidents. He set forward a work schedule that is going to change their lives because they are going to be judged against what he's been able to accomplish.
And on the impeachment front, he's also said something important, which is...
He says something important all the time.
And it's an important marker. And that is that this should never be allowed to happen to another president again.
Yeah, you know what, though? I don't know if it will or it won't. But I do know that it happened to the best president it could have possibly have occurred because this president has the strength and the courage, the moxie, whatever you want to call it, to deal with it. He is setting a standard.
And he's unusual in that regard. I don't know anyone else who could do that.
By the way, no one in this country knows anyone who could have done that.
Right.
I mean, it's that straightforward. Let's turn to this nonsense of Pelosi. We've got a lot of people who could emulate her readily across the country.
I think she needs to stop playing games. You know, on the one hand, I don't know that there's any requirement that the articles of impeachment are put in a box and wrapped in paper and delivered to the United States Senate. The House's action, they're done. They're over with. And so, when it finally gets there, I mean, my view is either Senator McConnell says, listen, you don't send us the articles and there's nothing for us to do. On the other hand, if the House has taken an action, I mean, I don't know what Democrats expect. Would they like to have like a trial in absentia? Like there's not going to be any prosecution in this case?
They had a star chamber for 3 months. It's the same sort of nonsense.
Again, it's a turn for the surreal. I don't have any idea what this means.
Well, McConnell is making it pretty clear that he's not playing games and that there will be a date certain and an hour certain beyond which he will not put up with any more fools.
I think that's exactly right. We know when that is in January. And look, whoever shows up, shows up. If the Democrats choose not to show up, too bad.
I like what the president said. It looks like we've won by default because she's afraid to send over those silly articles. And
she doesn't have the ability or the power. She is the Speaker of the House, but she doesn't have the ability or power to dictate to the United States Senate what it will do.
I want to play for the audience something that the president said in Battle Creek, Michigan last night, in which talking about it doesn't feel like being impeached. Here he is.
It doesn't really feel like we're being impeached. Do you? The country is doing better than ever before. We did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. And we have tremendous support in the Republican Party like we've never had before. Nobody's ever had this kind of support.
It doesn't feel like we're being impeached. He's right.
I think that's right. Doug Collins was saying as much yesterday as well,
Who was?
Doug Collins.
Wow.
He was
right there with the president on this.
Right.
I like solidarity.
Oh, well, and that's what the president is communicating.
The president says it doesn't feel like it because it's a farce. And the thing is, there's a closed feedback loop, and that is a national left-wing media that are the puppets of the Democratic Party, and particularly the radical Dems. They are carrying off an absolute fraud against the American people. The national left-wing media are acting as if, oh, my God, this is really serious. The pure theatrics, the phony nonsense.
Well, and to speak in legal terms, which I guess is why I'm here, the bar
has been... No, that's not at all. You're here because you're a smart guy.
Well, I like to think so, but, that's always subject to debate. The bar has been set too low. You know, I've been making the argument now for weeks that the Democrats walked right into this by not having articles of impeachment that charged a crime. They failed to do that. In my view, when it finally gets to the Senate, if it gets to the Senate, I believe a well-founded motion to dismiss should be granted by a majority of the United States Senate, and we need to get rid of this and move on in the best interest of the country.
We're here because this party decided, along with the deep state, the permanent administrative state and bureaucracy, that they were going to overthrow a president.
And the Republican Party is united to see that that is not going to happen.
Absolutely. And by the way, that is a major news break, and it is wonderful to see.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
A pleasure as always.
Thanks so much. Robert Ray.